between Israel and Hamas.
Okay, let me stop. Let's make sure we remember.
As the war in Gaza continues, we have the latest.
An Indianapolis shooting, police still looking for answers.
The latest in sports and exclusive entertainment.
All this and more on UINDY TV News.
Welcome, my name is Luke Cooper.
And I'm Maddie Fisher.
Almost 109 million people have lost their homes in Gaza since the war between Israel and Hamas has begun. More than 80% of Gaza's total population, according to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees. Almost 2 million people are reportedly homeless at the agency's facilities throughout the Gaza Strip. However, UN officials claim that as the Israeli Defense Forces step up operations in southern Gaza, another wave of displacement is taking place. The wave will be reportedly caused by more airstrikes and operations on the ground. The UN states that 900 people have been injured and 218 people have died while staying at UN facilities. The agency also states that facilities have been directly impacted since the war started, and 55 have suffered collateral damage.
The Israel-Hamas war continued on Friday after a temporary ceasefire ended. Both Israel and Hamas are putting blame on each other for the ceasefire ending. Israel agreed to extend the ceasefire by 1 day for the exchange of 10 hostages being released. Hamas only released 8 hostages in the period before the ceasefire expired. Video shows Israel's Iron Dome launching intercepts of missiles over the city of Tel Aviv, at least the second time since the ceasefire ended. The total death toll from the war sits around 17,000, with Hamas taking on a majority of those losses.
Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin spoke at the Reagan National Defense Forum this past weekend. Here's his latest statement on the Israel-Palestine conflict.
More rage and more despair. Israelis and Palestinians have both paid too bitter a price to just go back to October 6th. So like every U.S. administration since the Six-Day War in 1967, we believe that Israelis and Palestinians must find a way to share the land that they both call home. And that means a path towards 2 states, living side by side in mutual security.
The ongoing war of Israel and Hamas has also raised concerns regarding the increase in disease and illness risks in Gaza. The World Health Organization has warned that there is a likelihood of fatalities resulting from the poor healthcare system and a powerful disease that are putting Gaza citizens at further risk. A spokesperson, Margaret Harris from the WHO, said on Wednesday, and I quote, "Eventually we will see more people dying from disease than we are even seeing from the bombardment if we are not able to put back this health system and provide the basics of life," end quote.
Republican and Democratic lawmakers are at odds over Ukraine-Israel aid package. While Democrats are taking steps to bring the matters to the floor this week, many in the GOP say they're not going to budge unless there is a major domestic matter included in that bill.
The southern border crisis in the U.S. is having a ripple effect nearly 10,000 miles away in Ukraine.
We are in urgent need of additional support as Russia continues this aggression war. The battlefield is very hot and Russia is trying to advance.
The White House issued a letter Monday saying not providing more funds for Ukraine will, quote, kneecap Ukraine on the battlefield.
I'm not helping Ukraine until we help ourselves.
Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina is among the Republicans who want some of the funds to address the U.S.'s immigration concerns.
The security supplemental must include funding and policy reforms to address the crisis at the southern border.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is pushing for a vote on the Ukraine-Israel aid package this week.
Democrats want to be reasonable on immigration. We're willing to make concessions, but we will not keep going in circles if Republicans aren't interested in even meeting us halfway.
Office of Management and Budget Director Shalonda Young says if an agreement isn't reached soon, the U.S. could face critical national security risks.
Unfortunately, many Republican extreme demands are still on the table, things that Republicans know can't get Democratic votes, and that's our stumbling block right now.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Coming up, new information on the Delphi murder case.
In an unusual rescue attempt, stay tuned.
Are you feeling alone in your faith? UINDY Catholic gives you an opportunity to get involved in a religious community on campus, providing sacramental needs and fellowship for prospective students and giving you a sense of belonging.
We just want you guys to know that God loves you, He delights in you, and He's in awe of you. And we would love to meet you. So you should come on out.
UINDY Catholic, a community for you.
For children who may have high-functioning autism, may have ADHD, processing challenges, working memory issues, sensory integration issues, those types of challenges. It's a place where human beings are valued, children are respected. It's a progressive school that takes a hands-on approach to education.
The Indiana State Police are investigating after a man was found dead on Interstate 65 Sunday afternoon. Officers were dispatched to the 113.4 mile marker on I-65 at approximately 1:47 p.m. ISP indicated that troopers found an unresponsive man in the driver's seat of a gray Nissan van. The man was 52-year-old Luis Martinez from Noblesville, and he was pronounced dead soon after, citing gunshot wounds as the cause of death. Detectives believe people driving in that area at approximately 1:45 p.m. may have seen the incident unfold. Those who drive vehicles equipped with cameras that drove through the area at the time of the shooting are urged to contact state police.
One person is dead after being struck by a car in Speedway Sunday evening. Speedway police responded to North High School Road and Crawfordsville Road on a report of a person struck by a vehicle. 34-year-old Guillermo Morales Hernandez was pronounced dead at the scene. Officers said that the man was hit while crossing the street. The driver of the vehicle remained at the scene and reportedly worked with police fully with the investigation. They don't believe alcohol was a factor in the crash. The investigation is currently ongoing.
Delphi double murder suspect Richard Allen is asking the Indiana Supreme Court to intervene in his case. Allen wants his original defense team of Bradley Rozzi and Andrew Baldwin reinstated and wants the trial to start next month. Judge Fran Gohl removed Rozzi and Baldwin from the case in October after a former co-worker of Baldwin took pictures of evidence photos laid out in the law office. Allen is accused of killing Abby Williams and Libby German in February of 2017.
A race against time after a terrifying incident in Tennessee. A farmer was buried up to his neck in corn when he fell into a grain bin, but he survived thanks to quick action from first responders who say these accidents are often fatal. Nick Bears has the story.
An urgent rescue unfolded in a corn-filled grain bin in Tennessee after authorities say a man fell in and was buried up to his neck in corn kernels. Responders rappelled into the huge container and raced against time, working quickly to secure the trapped farmer. They compared the harrowing situation to being stuck in quicksand.
It's a force that pulls you down and, collapses on top of you at the same time. It puts an immense amount of pressure on your body.
Rescuers created a makeshift wall around the immobilized man, then used a vacuum to remove some of the grain around him. The strategy worked, and the man was able to be pulled out through a side access door in the bin. The Navy is currently working to remove a military plane stuck up to its neck, so to speak, in water. This P-8A Poseidon aircraft overshot a Hawaiian-based runway and landed in shallow water, resting in the tide above a coral reef. Navy officials say they've been able to safely remove nearly all 2,000 gallons of fuel on board. Now they're just trying to figure out how to get the rest of the plane out. Finally, a deer stuck on thin ice got some help from firefighters after it was unable to stand on the slippery surface of a frozen Minnesota lake. After crawling out to the stranded animal, the rescuers did their best Philadelphia Eagles impression and executed a tush push, shoving the stuck buck all the way to safety. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
A 19-year-old man has passed after being trapped in a Minnesota landslide. Southern Minnesota authorities recovered the body of a young man who was trapped in a landslide over the weekend. Minnesota Police Park is one of Minnesota's oldest state parks, which is home to a large waterfall and bison herd. The 19-year-old became trapped under rubble on Saturday morning. When emergency workers found him, he was pronounced dead at the scene. This incident is still undergoing investigation. The male victim has not yet been identified.
In Arlington County, Virginia, fire crews continue to battle small spot fires after a home exploded as police responded to a call Monday night. It happened after police attempted to execute a search warrant following reports of a flare gun being fired. Police say the suspect discharged a flare gun 30 to 40 times from inside his residence into the surrounding neighborhood. Then the home exploded. Police believe the suspect was the only person inside when the home exploded. The fire is now under control. Several officers sustained minor injuries, but none were taken to a local hospital. The incident remains under investigation.
A group of family members and a survivor of the Lewiston, Maine mass shooting will head to Washington to meet with their lawmakers later this week. Family members of the victims still have a lot of questions about what happened and the steps that can now be taken. Mal Meyer reports.
This is still like a big dream to us. It's a nightmare, but it's a big dream. And
Leroy Walker's son Joe Walker was the manager at Schmangy's Bar and Grill. He was one of the 18 people killed by the sole suspect.
You know, this gentleman was sick a long time before he came to Lewiston to kill the people that he killed.
Documents obtained by the CBS 13 I-Team show the suspect's Army Reserve unit was worried he would commit a mass shooting.
I think there was a lot of things missed.
Walker and others want to know what the military was aware of, when they knew it, and what was done in response. He's hoping Maine's congressional delegation can help get those answers.
But I just think there's a lot more that can be gained out of this than what we really know at this point.
Walker's attorney says they will be in closed-door meetings with all 4 members of Congress on Thursday. 1 survivor and 5 family members of some of the victims are headed to D.C. for it.
There are multiple ways to deal with this issue.
This is happening as Senator King just announced a new gun control proposal, the Gas-Operated Semi-Automatic Firearms Exclusion, or Go Safe Act.
This is a comprehensive piece of legislation dealing with the predominant weapons that are used in mass shootings.
They're a killing machine. It's as simple as that. And we would like to see something done so that we we can't kill this many people in just a few seconds.
Walker wants to know if there's support for it, how that could move forward, and what ideas the lawmakers have.
Now let's jump over to our reporter Elijah Sutton for your daily weather update.
Thanks, Luke, man. It has been cold out here, guys. So we have a high of 54 for Wednesday and a low of 42. However, but it should be warming up later this week with Thursday with a high of 57 and a low of 49. But Friday and this weekend, it should start to get colder. We've got a high of 50 and a low of 33, but we also hear Saturday is getting pretty cold and it's going to start feeling like winter with the high of 36 and a low of 28. But for the rest of the night, you should be a little okay. It's something that you expect. We're here with 41 degrees right now. We're going to get a little bit lower and go down to 37 degrees by the end of the night. But it's been pretty cold here in Indianapolis. But that's it for today's weather report. And stay tuned. After this break, we'll be back here with me for sports.
Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding? Say you never ever leave from beside me. Duh.
There's often a moment when you're helping somebody with math where they just suddenly get over that little barrier and they get it. It's a nice aha moment, and I really like being involved in helping students achieve that moment, and we do get a lot of those here in the tutoring lab.
Welcome back to UINDY TV. My name is Elijah Sutton. Now let's get into some sports. Here at UINDY, we had the UINDY men and women's basketball teams each play a doubleheader this past weekend. For the first, the men on Thursday, the Greyhounds played Southwest Baptist and beat the Bearcats easily 67-50. The Hounds were led by Paul Zelinskis, who had a game high of 19 points, shooting 6 for 9. And David Ija and Kendrick Showa each had 11 points, supporting Zelinskis out there. Zelinskis followed that up with an 18-point performance Saturday at the Hounds, and they dominated Drury Panthers 82-51. UINDY had now won 3 of their last 4 games, and they are back to 4-4 on the season. The Hounds are playing the Grand Valley State Lakers right now in Michigan. Tip-off was 6 p.m., so let's hope our boys can bring home a win. Now, on to the women's team. The women's were back in action this past week as well at Nickerson Hall to take on the GLVC rival and the nationally ranked Drury Panthers. The Drury Panthers were ranked number 6 going into the weekend, but after previously falling off to the Lewis Flyers. The Greyhounds started out strong, but ultimately Drury's powerful offense came back strong in the second quarter and remained that way for the rest of the game. UINDY fell to the nationally ranked Panthers, sadly, with a final score of 78-70. However, our own Hound here, Liv Becker, led the way with her scoring and dropped 18 points. Jada Haynes and Patricia Chikamba also dropped double-digit points with 14 and 10 points, respectively. It was also a career night for Idalisa Ortiz, as the senior had 14 rebounds. Now that's something. She was real close to a double-double that game. The Greyhounds record now sits at 5-3 overall with a 3-time GLVC record. The Greyhounds are currently playing at Governor State. You can listen to the action right now, actually, on WICR 88.7, The Diamond. Now, let's bring it back home a little bit. Closer to home, the Pacers made history last night, and they went to Boston last night to tip off. Tyrese Halliburton, however, we won with the final buzzer scoring with 122-112 after a thriller of a fourth quarter. It took everything on both sides of the ball, but the Pacers got it done. In the late moments, it was Tyrese Halliburton hitting big threes down the stretch, one of being a 4-point play that had Cambridge Fieldhouse rocking. It was electric. He ended with 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 13 assists, which was a great first career triple-double. However, he was not there without the help of Buddy Hield, as he was hot in the fourth quarter as well, finishing the game with 21 points to his name. Also, Aaron Neesmith's defensive effort and the second half scoring surge was a huge factor for the Indiana Pacers. As for the first seed in the East, the Celtics were battling from behind for the majority of the second half. Their pair of stars, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, put up a combined 62 points, but the Pacers' defense was able to contain the rest of Boston's offense. India has been catching some flack due to their lacking effort on the defensive end. But in this one, it was truly the defense that led them to the win. The blue and gold will head to Vegas to play the winner of the Bucks and Knicks, who play tonight. Now, it's a big day for Indianapolis. We're here with the Colts. Now, for a little bit in football, the Colts are also back in action on Sunday, this time on the road against division rival, the Tennessee Titans. Heading into this week's, the Colts were holding on to the 7th and final spot in the AFC playoff race. The Titans had previously won 4 games in a row over the Colts before Indianapolis finally bettered them in Week 5 at Lucas Oil Stadium back here in the 3-1-7. The Titans had yet to lose a home game this year. In the game, they had yet to lose a home game, but had a perfect 4-0 record at their own stadium, but had a 0-7 record on the road. Now, the Colts running back Jonathan Taylor, who came back, sustained an injury in last week's win and is expected to miss the next 3 to 4 weeks. Zach Moss filled in once again for Indianapolis to finish the game with 19 carries for 51 yards. It was back and forth all game, all throughout 4 quarters, including 2 straight blocked punts from the Colts, an interception for 2 points from the Titans, and a missed extra point leading to a 25-25 heading down the stretch into overtime. The Titans hit a field goal, but Minshew deep through the ball to Alec Pierce, then a short slant to Michael Pittman close up, and saw the Colts to finish the win out to 31-28. The Colts saw difficulty in stopping the run for the Titans running back Derrick Henry and had over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, but we still got the win and proceeded to sweep the Titans for the first time in 3 seasons. The Colts will continue a stretch of road games as they take on the Cincinnati Bengals next week, who are without superstar Joe Burrow the rest of the season. The Colts sit at 7-5 now and are in a 4-way tie in the wild card race, currently holding the 7th seed in the conference, which is the last and final spot. However, we have to talk about the Green Bay Packers and the Chiefs. Sunday night, the Green Bay Packers welcomed the defending Super Bowl champs Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs were the heavy favorites in LeBeau, but the final box score reflected otherwise. The Packers jumped out to 7-0 lead early in the game, but the Chiefs answered quickly with their 3-point field goal. Heading into halftime, the Packers led 14-6. With the first possession of the second half, the Chiefs marched all the way down the field and punched the ball to Isaiah Pacheco for a touchdown. Their 2-point attempt failed, bringing them within 2 at 14-12. And in the second half, the Packers were able to generate 13 points with a Christian Watson touchdown and 2 field goals to bring their lead to 8 with a minute to go. Kansas City's attempt to tie the game in the closing seconds was unsuccessful, sadly. However, after a couple missed calls by the officials and a couple wide receiver miscues, Green Bay would end up winning the game 27-19, bringing their record to 6-6 with 5 very favorable games coming up to the end of the season. The Chiefs head back to the drawing board, and all of a sudden, the defending champs need to figure out something on the offense before they let a very favorable AFC for them slip away. Now, coming up, Adriana Ojeda with your exclusive news entertainment here on UINDY TV.
So the overall mission here at Flanner House Indy is to help with the development and growth, the self-efficiency and self-sufficiency of the near northwest side of Indianapolis. When the Double Eights closed in the area, that left the near northwest side a food desert. So Brandon Cosby, the executive director of Flanner House, started with the Flanner House Farms, where they grow fresh produce organically for the neighborhood around. And then later on down the line, Cleo's came about. So we're here to help with the sustainability of getting fresh food at cheap prices to the locals around. Black owned, black ran. That's the gist of Cleo's for the most part.
Hi, welcome back to UINDY TV's Entertainment. I'm Adriana.
Musical artist The Weeknd extends assistance with 4 million meals to aid individuals in Gaza. The United Nations World Food Program announced Friday that WFP Goodwill Ambassador The Weeknd will help donate 1.8 million pounds of food parcels. The artist has channeled a sum of $2.5 million from his XO fund towards humanitarian invitations in Gaza. Coming from a $5 million pot, the first $2.5 million were utilized to back urgent nutritional support for women and children in Ethiopia, with the remaining $2.5 million going towards the Gaza response. The meals will provide food over 173,000 Palestinians for a span of 2 weeks, nearly helping those in need. The Weeknd's generous contribution emerges as a beacon of hope, highlighting the impact of celebrity philanthropy in addressing global humanitarian challenges. Beyoncé ran with the box office this weekend. Renaissance, a film by Beyoncé, opened the weekend's first place with $21 million in North American ticket sales. Beyoncé wrote, directed, and produced Renaissance, which is focused on the tour for her Grammy-winning album. She outperformed the movies Hunger Games in its third week and Godzilla -1. Historically, post-Thanksgiving, early December box office is historically slow, but that did not matter to Beyoncé. This is the first time a film has opened over $20 million on this weekend in 20 years. Be sure to show some love to Queen Bee in the theaters near you. Christmas season is finally here, and there's no better way to get into the holiday spirit without listening to some Christmas music. Now, out of the many people you would expect to be releasing a Christmas album, I bet Cher was not at the top of your list. Cher's album release Christmas was on October 23, 2023 through Warner's Records. This is going to be her 27th studio album featuring 13 songs, including 4 originals. The last time we heard original produced material from Cher was nearly 10 years ago. She's definitely coming back in the music industry with a few surprises. Check out the goodness of pop's new Christmas album this holiday season. On the topic of Christmas music, there's a #1 Christmas song. Brenda Lee's Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree has hit the #1 spot on the Hot 100 Songs charts for her first time. Brenda Lee was only 13 years old when she released her song in 1958, and since then has seen a revelation in the Christmas scene. The now 78-year-old has seen her song take off with almost 35 million streams and 21 million radio plays so far this year alone. Before the 65th anniversary of the song, she dropped an official music video on a YouTube of a month ago. If you were wondering, Mariah Carey is, of course, right behind her at #2 and is still dominating the charts with All I Want for Christmas Is You. Coming up, a big airline update in a record-setting month.
Are you feeling alone in your faith? UINDY Catholic gives you an opportunity to get involved in a religious community on campus, providing sacramental needs and fellowship for prospective students and giving you a... Are you feeling alone in your faith? UINDY Catholic gives you an opportunity to get involved in a religious community on campus, providing sacramental needs and fellowship for prospective students and giving you a sense of belonging.
We just want you guys to know that God loves you, He delights in you, and He's in awe of you, and we would love to meet you. So you should come on out.
UINDY Catholic, a community for you.
For children who may have high-functioning autism, may have ADHD, processing challenges, working memory issues, sensory integration issues, those types of challenges. It's a place where human beings are valued, children are respected. It's a progressive school that takes a hands-on approach to education.
Alaskan Airlines has recently announced a merger with Hawaiian Airlines in a deal worth $1.9 billion. Alaska Airlines and Hawaiian Airlines have been rivals for years. Hawaiian Airlines has been struggling the past year with the Maui wildfires and its large competition, Southwest Airlines. This merger was purely strategic. Shane Tackett, Alaska Airlines CFO, said that the merge will enable the two companies to become market leaders in the Hawaiian market. What we saw here was a unique opportunity in the valuation that we saw Hawaiian at, said Shane Tackett. Now, I don't know about you, Luke, but I'm kind of sad that we're coming to the end of the semester.
Yeah, this is the mid-season finale of UINDY TV News.
This is the mid-season finale. I think you said it perfectly. It is sad, but all good things come to an end. And as we come to the end of the semester, here at UINDY, we will not have a show next week.
But don't worry, we will be back next semester bringing you the latest in sports, news, and entertainment.
We wish all of our students at UINDY TV and on campus good luck with finals.